Hi, we're the Hamburgers. I'm Paul.
I'm Gail.
I'm Allison.
And I'm Emily.
Allison, how did moving from New York to Pennsylvania affect you?
It was a really hard time, I think, for me moving because I was in 8th grade going into 9th grade, and in 8th grade, you're just trying to make friends and you're just starting off, getting in your little group of friends, and I had an okay group of friends at the dance school that I went to, but I really think that it was actually perfect timing for me, but I just didn't see it because I was still only in 8th grade, but it was actually a perfect time to move.
Yeah, I think for me it was personally hard moving away from our family and adjusting to that. We were very close and we got together for every birthday and holiday, and so that was a big change, but I think we've adjusted really well, and we've with texting and the different ways of communicating now, we've definitely kept in touch with each other more. So it's been good.
I think establishing a home here after being in a home in New York for forever. I grew up in New York. It was a little challenging getting to know new neighbors and just feeling like this was home, but now I really do feel like we're home.
For me it was, I feel like it was a good move for me. I had friends in New York, but I feel like, I don't know, just the friends I've made here in Pennsylvania are a lot better for me, and I have a lot more opportunities here, with the school shows and the community theater that I do shows in, and the sports that I play here. I have a lot more opportunities here than I did in New York.
Good. Mr. and Mrs. Hamburger, what are your professions?
I'm currently working as in their IT technical area as a data warehouse developer.
I actually right now am a stay-at-home mom. When we were in New York, I was a school teacher, and I guess that was a big adjustment for me moving here, because now I am home all the time and able to be more involved in their activities at school.
Explain the education of your family.
What education do you have, dear?
So I have a bachelor's degree in business, majoring in finance, and then I have a whole sort of technical IT training over the years after that. So.
And I have a bachelor's degree in education with a minor in music, and I was, I guess I have some credits towards my master's, but I didn't ever finish because I got married and started having a family.
Why have you chosen to send the girls to a private school rather than a public school?
This one's good. I know this answer.
Maybe a little disagreement here.
Initially, it wasn't something that we totally agreed on, but I had been teaching in a Christian school in New York when I met Paul, and I always felt that education-wise, I don't know that it was better or more superior, but my concern was that when the girls would have a question or a problem and they would seek wisdom or guidance from a teacher, I wanted it to be a teacher that I knew would have the same moral standing and religious convictions that I had. And so I didn't have concern with them at school taking counsel from their teachers, where, especially in New York in a public school, I had no idea the background of the teachers and what influence they would have on their upbringing.
Mm-hmm.
So on the flip side, you could look at that. I grew up in public school, and I had a very strong background in church. I was involved in the youth group. I was involved with Christian Service Brigade. So those outside of school, that was a very large influence in my life.
All right. Do you girls have any input about going to a private school rather than going to a public school?
I think at first when I was littler, in middle school, I was totally against it, and I hated the fact that we were sent to a small little private school. But I guess as I got older and in high school, since it is smaller, since it is more compact, you really get to know everyone in the school, and you really get to develop that good friendships with people other than just at a public school where you like don't even know people that you're passing by in the hallway, whereas in a private school you know everyone, and if a new person comes in, like you get to know them really fast.
Well, I guess I never really was aware of the differences between public school and private school when I was younger. I think the only thing that I really knew was that we wouldn't have a Bible class and it would be bigger. But like growing up, like I've realized that public school, it's probably a whole lot more difficult to stay like with your morals and to really be focusing on your Christian like attitude and stuff. So I'm thankful for the fact that even though like it is a smaller school, I still have really strong relationships with my classmates and even with my teachers, just because we do share like the same religion and we're closer in that way.
I think the neat thing about going to a private school is that education-wise, like you can get that one-on-one learning experience with the teacher. Whereas in public school, I think like you personally need to seek that out. But in a private school, since the classes are smaller and the teachers, I feel like since they're getting paid less, I feel like it's more of like their passion. It's more like a passion to them. But not saying that in a public school that teachers don't have that passion, but it just seems like in a private school that teachers are more willing to stay after class to help students that are struggling with learning or are interested in not just their education, but what else is going on in their life. So yeah.
How did discipline work while the girls were young?
We tried as best we could to be really strict and to keep the reins in tight, and so that way they would, as they grew older and gained more independence, they would still have the structure and the boundaries, to help them make wise decisions.
How has discipline changed as the girls have been growing up?
So hopefully we've let them be a little bit more on their own, a little more independent, and with the ability to make their own decisions. And I think one of the important things is, if they do mess up or we mess up, that we can admit that and help each other and try better next time.
Yeah, and I think now discipline is more the consequences of their actions, whereas when they were younger, we made the consequences. But now they reap what they sow.
Mm-hmm. What are the joys and stresses of being part of a family? Allison?
Okay. I think the joys are is that no matter what, you're always gonna have someone there for you. Because as a family, you always stick together, no matter what happens. But and also, if you feel like you accomplished something, you always have someone to share it with.
I think one of the joys is definitely, no matter what happens and no matter what struggles you go through, you're always going to be loved, and that's a big thing. And I think probably one of the stresses would be more just trying to make sure everybody's happy.
A stress is the fact that we have disagreements, not a lot, but we do disagree at times, and that just kind of puts a little bit of stress on the family, but we do usually get through on time.
What is the uniqueness of your family background or culture?
I think one of the things that's unique for us is that both Paul and I grew up in Christian families going to church, and so our family time centered around church and being involved in church. And so as we got married and as we started our family, we made that a priority as well. And so I think that finding a church here that we're connected to and comfortable with has been something we've sought to do. And I think that's, I don't know that every family has that as their goal.
All right. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.